So, JB, I want to read from our text messages on Sunday because, we talk about these things all weekend long. People don't realize it's not just me attending games and you twittering to death out there all weekend long. We actually talk to each other. That's why we're friends, I think. I mean, there might be other reasons. I don't know. But here's the conversation. I said to you after we were talking a little bit back and forth, maybe we should finally get Brett Segala on this show. And you said to me, "Ya think?" And I said, "We've had no Cortland players so far, right?" And you suggested because of some upcoming games, it might be a good time to do that. I believe St. John Fisher is next week and Brockport's the following week. We've got some Connecticut game coming up in a few weeks also. But you know what? Out of respect to Cortland, we're going to probably just focus, at least in the beginning of this interview, on what's happening next week and what happened this past weekend with Brett Segala, quarterback from Cortland. You know, Brett, it is about time because you've been putting up consistent numbers, at least for since we've been doing this broadcast on the video side of things. So finally, welcome to you here on In the Huddle.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I watch your show every week, so it's definitely good to be on, and thanks for having me on today.
I should include one thing. You did see our prediction show, and you knew what I was talking about, I think, about Alfred's sack numbers, I think 21 in the first 5 weeks. And I said they would need to get to you in that game to win. And in a 10-point game with 0 sacks allowed by your offensive line, you gave the kudos to your guys, kind of branching off our prediction show. So you indeed do watch this. And thanks for kind of not rubbing it in too much to me because I picked against you.
That's no problem. That's no problem. We love it. But I was tuned in. I saw the sack count number, and I trust those 5 guys up front. They played one heck of a game, and I had to give a little something on Twitter there on Saturday after the game and show some love to my 5 offensive linemen for sure.
Why don't we name them by name? Normally we do shout outs later, as you know, but you know what? Because they are part of the reason that we're even talking about this whole thing. I think a big part of it. Why don't you go ahead and name them?
Yeah. So from left to right, David Aronson at left tackle. Russell Howard, one of our captains, is our left guard. Mike Bailey, our center. Russell Lugbauer is our right guard. Travis Alvarez is our right tackle. And I'd be reminiscent not to mention when we come in our big offensive line packages with Day Griffin, Jamie Mann, and then our 2 tight ends, Ricky Chenard and David Stegman. They all deserve the credit. They make me look good. They keep me clean on Saturdays. So all the credit goes to those O-linemen.
Yeah, the moneymaker is protected at all times by those guys.
That's right. Well, speaking of credit, Brett, I mean, this truly was a team effort because, you guys had a special teams play help you out. You had some defensive plays that helped you out. I mean, Alfred did their best to keep you off the field. I mean, they ran the ball a ton. I think they had a 36-plus minute time of possession advantage. So you didn't have as much time to get what you needed to do to get done. But when you were in, you definitely ran the offense well. Tell us a little bit about the ebb and flow of that game. And I imagine that kickoff return was it 84 yards or something like that from Cole Burgess really got you guys fired up.
Yeah, Alfred came in with a great game plan to keep our offense off the field. We came in averaging 48 points a game, and they were committed to running the football like they always are every year and keeping us off the field. Cole, it goes without saying, he took 2 kicks back last year, takes a kick back this Saturday, blocks a punt that ends up for a touchdown. So a shout out to our special teams coordinator, Coach Spalick, his first year here at Cortland, but he's really set up a great special teams from top to bottom that has given us a chance to win in all 3 facets. And then you spoke on the defense. Those guys have been working their tails off since week 1, and led by our senior captain, Greg Alfieri. I love those guys to death. They just kept looking at me and kept saying, "Take me home, 9, take me home." And they gave me a chance to put this boy to bed on Saturday, and our offense did what we needed to do. It wasn't the cleanest game for us for sure, but we're going to get back to the drawing board for St. John Fisher this Saturday for sure.
Well, yeah, and you guys are definitely really starting the meat of your Empire 8 schedule with Fisher, and then obviously Brockport, and we'll cover some other teams down the road here. But at this point in the season, you guys are 6-0. You're ranked number 19 in the nation. You're one of a dozen undefeated teams remaining in Division III. Last season, you guys were this close to winning the Empire 8 title, and so was there like an added motivation coming into this season? I know you're a senior, but I think you guys have a pretty big senior class. There's a lot of leaders on this team, kind of across the board. Was that sort of close call last season, sort of something that's really helped motivate you guys to keep winning all these games?
I think for sure. I think it comes down to our 3 losses. We lost 3 games last year by 13 points to Alfred, Brockport, and Ithaca. So that really drove us this offseason. We were 13 points from an E8 championship, a playoff bid, things like that. But in the long run, it's about us. It's Coach Mack talks about it every week is we can control what we can control. Wherever we're playing, we got to put the ball down and go to work. And this senior class, we really drove the underclassmen. But we also have underclassmen who are leaders too. So they deserve a lot of credit. Our freshmen deserve a lot of credit too for stepping into a group that was really established from the spring and making their presence known. So from top to bottom, the senior leaders to the freshman leaders, everybody deserves a lot of credit for where we're at, and we just got to keep the ball rolling right now.
2 weeks ago, though, you had an interesting game against Morrisville State. Now, we look at what they did against Utica on Saturday, and we'll look at the week before what they did with Alfred in terms of a 7-point game. And we're starting to get some idea right now that Morrisville State is really in it to win it themselves, and with some great players. So put on your coach hat for a second to the degree you can. Give us some background right now about Morrisville. You've played them before. Is this an improved team, and is this making the Empire 8 even that much better right now, or that much harder for a team like yours?
I agree 100%. Morrisville always has been a very talented football team, a well-coached football team. I know their head coach, Coach Fitzpatrick, they recruited me out of high school, and they've always been well-coached, and they've always been right there. They played a great game against us a couple weeks ago, and in the Empire 8, you're never safe every week. Everybody can play ball, and from top to bottom, I think we're one of the strongest conferences in the country. So Morrisville is definitely starting to make a name for themselves with these games they're playing. Got a solid quarterback over there in Bill, and they played us tight. They gave us a run for our money, and obviously I saw the stats from Saturday against Utica. Played a great game against Utica. So, I mean, all the credit goes to their coaching staff and their players for working hard and getting to the point today.
What's Coach McNeil telling you guys this week as you get ready for Fisher? I mean, I guess it's human nature to look forward to things. It's you've got a big game in 2 weeks against Brockport. Everybody knows about Cortica. It's going to be a giant stadium, probably the biggest crowd in Division III history. Supposedly over 40,000 tickets sold for that. How do you guys focus in on a Fisher team which almost knocked off Ithaca a couple weeks ago? Has shown flashes of being a very potent offense, but historically has had a pretty complicated, defensive system with like the 3-3 stack and different stuff going on. What's kind of the mindset of the team as you guys try to dial in on Fisher with all this other outside noise, top 20, Cortica, et cetera, going on in the background?
Right, like you said, a lot of outside noise right now, but like I spoke on it earlier, it's about us. We just got to show up. We got guys in the building today just getting into the film and getting ready for Fisher. We understand how important of a game it is. Everybody wants to talk about Cortica, and I understand it. It's a huge game, and we're all excited for that opportunity, but we got Fisher first, and Fisher's our only concern right now. We just got to come in, have a great week of practice, work hard, and we're going to go over there at 4 o'clock on Saturday and put the ball down, play our game of football offensively, defensively, and special teams, and we'll worry about those other games when we get there, but right now it's just straight Fisher, and let's go to work.
We're going to still be persistent on these questions. So
of course. Of course. I understand it completely. I completely understand it.
I will say this. As Fisher this season has been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde story. That game against Ithaca where they almost came back from 25 down is obviously a real positive. Walsh and company did a great job to try to come back in that game and maybe should have won it in the end, if not for the interception. But then they've had some duds, like against Brockport, couldn't put up a point. And, since that point, you just don't know what you're going to get. So we'll see. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I do have a question, though, because you're one of the few quarterbacks on the other side of the ball that lost Joe Germinario on one part of your schedule, but gained him on the other part of your schedule, essentially. And you've played Ithaca enough to know what kind of team they were. You played Brockport enough to know what kind of team they were. How does this affect Ithaca from, let's say, the last couple of years from the body of knowledge you have about them? How does it affect that team? Not asking you to give me, inside information per se, but just kind of, this is a unique view, to be honest with you. Like I'm saying, not many teams have to worry about this. Cortland does, because he went from the Empire 8 to a team that's your main rival, essentially, at the end of the day. Give us what you can, at least, and I promise Coach McNeil won't be mad.
I've played against Joe a couple of times. We've talked a little bit. I talked to him in the offseason. Seems like a great guy for sure. Obviously, a terrific quarterback. Has established himself in the East region as one of our top QBs. Ithaca's a great football team. Got a great defense. Brought in a new coach a couple years ago, and seems like he's kind of changed the culture a little bit. And you bring a quarterback like Joe in there, where he just makes plays on a consistent basis. So I think that definitely gave him a jolt. They obviously got Will Gladney, who's a great receiver. And, it goes without saying, but Wahid Nabi was still a great quarterback too. And we talk on occasion, and he's always ready to go. So they're a deep football team at all positions. He just bolstered their team even more for sure.
Well, Brett, you come from a D3 family, you could say, because I know we were chatting before we came on live. At your dad James, great name by the way, played baseball and football down in DC at Gallaudet. Who they scored the most points in the East region this past weekend, and they're having a good season. But what led you to pick Cortland? I mean, Dad wasn't obviously telling you where to go to school, but how did your decision-making process work out? And I know you started off somewhere else, and then you came to Cortland. So tell us a little bit about that and how you ended up with the Red Dragons.
So out of high school, went to Seton Hill University outside of Pittsburgh. It's a Division II school. Really enjoyed my time there for a year. Just wasn't the best fit financially, football-wise, things like that. Coming out of there, decided to choose between it was Cortland and Brockport. And when I came and visited Cortland, I fell in love with the place. I love the campus. I love this team, this coaching staff. They make me feel at home. They make me feel like I'm one of them. They care about me as a person, not just as a football player. So I came in here with the objective to join a good football team, but also become a better person. And I give all the credit to Coach Mack. His analogies and all of his stories that he tells us every week, have changed my life and have changed my outlook on life. So definitely the greatest decision of my life to come to Cortland and play football and go to school here for sure.
A lot of people out there sort of underestimate Division III and its power. And, kids coming out of high school, kids these days, I tell you, they want the FCS or FBS scenario or D2 if they can achieve that, thinking that that's the right way to go. The higher, the better. Make the case to folks about why Division III, I guess it's the hashtag YD3 moment here, was ultimately the right thing for you. Tell folks what the differences are that you experienced at the very least. And granted, you didn't spend much time at Seton Hill, I get that. But you did get enough flavor, I think, probably while you were there versus where you are now. Why D3 in your mind?
In the long run, if it's D1, 2, JUCO, NAIA, football is football. And you're going to come to a Division III football school, and you're going to get to experience fans who just want to watch you play. You're going to become your brothers and guys who have the same common goal as you. You're playing football because you want 4 more years of playing football. Coach Mack makes the analogy, you show up here with 40 golf balls. You got 40 swings, 40 guaranteed games left in your life. And, now I'm down to 4. And in a D3 setting, I've got the chance to focus on school because I'm going to be graduating in May, but also come and just play football, have a good time with guys who have become my best friends, and just have the experience of a lifetime for sure.
JB, he says he's got 4 left. I don't know about that.
4 guaranteed.
Yeah, there might 4 guaranteed. There might be some extra ones popping up, but you alluded to it, Brett. You're graduating in May. We spoke to a linebacker from Salisbury last weekend, similar major as yours. I think he's interested in getting into coaching. Is that where we're going to see you back on the sidelines next year, maybe?
That is the plan right now. I'd love to stay at Cortland and be on the sidelines for a couple more years and help these guys out and help them continue to get better and win some more championships here for sure.
Well, Cortland has been a story for a long time. I remember Eric Wren and I actually did the play-by-play and color commentary while In the Huddle existed for the Alfred Cortland playoff game a number of years ago in like the second round around Thanksgiving time. And while his father was still alive, Stan Wren, who was a big Alfred guy way back in the past, and rest in peace, Stan. We still miss him. But Cortland has been a powerhouse for so many years. I've been involved in Division III with my union calling back when. So this is it really is a story of how some teams are mainstays, and they may fall off the chart for a little while, but then they find players like you, Brett, that really fulfill the tradition of Cortland football. So you are a testament to Cortland being who they are still today, and we want to give you the opportunity at this point to send out your shout-outs beyond the O-line. You can give them even more shout-outs if you want, because it sounds like you love those guys. But shout-outs to any family, friends, teammates, anybody else that might be watching.
Really, in the long run, my parents, they've done everything for me. I love my parents to death. Obviously, every single teammate on this team, my little brother's on this team. It's pretty sweet to play my last 2 years of college football with my little brother. But in the long run, some guys who deserve a shout out are our scout team for sure. They don't get any of the glory. They come and we've got freshmen on our scout team, offense and defense and special teams, just going hard every single day, giving us the best look to get ready for Saturdays every single time. So they're never going to get a shout out. But from me to our scout guys, and I hope they watch this, they deserve a shout out. They work their tails off, and I appreciate everything they do for our football team.
I won't ask you to name names because I don't want you to forget anybody there. But that is
a lot of names.
11 guys plus, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I think that's the first time in the history of this show that anyone's given a shout out to the scout team. That's classy stuff right there, Brett.
I can verify that too. That is true. But you know what, Brett? I've been reading your name on our Crunch Time segment, as you know, multiple times over the last 2 years, especially, and it is so good to finally get to meet you. We'll see. I will not, unfortunately, be at the Cortica Jug game, but D3Football.com is actually going to be there. So you get even better than me and James. You get that. So
I would have liked you and James for sure, though. It would have been a nice time for sure.
We appreciate that. But if there are playoff games in your guys' future, you probably will see me at something along those lines. We won't rush that yet. But you are as quality an individual as I heard along the way in the pipeline. This interview is proof of that. And we do appreciate your time and your fandom of In the Huddle. We don't take that for granted. So make sure everybody watches this. Make sure they all use different computers so that we know that they're out there watching In the Huddle with Brett Segala.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on today.
I think there was a point, JB, where earlier in the season, you and I were both counting out Framingham State. And as our bottom line here says, never, ever do that. A team that actually played well against Brockport, last season in the playoffs. I think we know now that Brockport's back as a team this year. And so when they faced them earlier in the season, they were facing a really good team again. And so we used that game against them. We shouldn't have. And then we look at the score this weekend. Tell folks what happened, who we have on.
Yeah, and a big 34-0 win. Framingham State blanked the Plymouth State Panthers. So still in control of their own destiny and chasing another MASCAC title. But leading the way for the defense was junior defensive end Joshua
Onujiogu.
Hey, thank you.
Sorry, man. I'm doing. Yeah. So, Josh, tell us a little bit. I mean, as we were chatting before we went on the air, so to speak, we had your teammate Eli Etienne on last year. When I brought up the Plymouth State games, immediately it was like, it was two years in a row. We should have beaten those guys. You guys finally did it. How does it feel?
It felt awesome. The past couple years, we lost to them. It was a drama. A bunch of stuff happened. We game planned this week. It kind of got boring for us. It was just so eager to play. Once we stepped on the field, it kind of took away by itself. It was a fun game. After the game, we all celebrated. Now we're on to the next game.
Well, definitely on to the next game, but let's go back in the season a little bit. You heard the introduction earlier. This team seemed to be struggling at times early on in the season. The Brockport game aside, it wasn't the best of starts for this team. And it takes leadership, obviously, to turn things around. What was your role in trying to get this team to stay focused? Was it the old mantra, hey, we got to win the conference either way, so don't worry about these games, let's learn from them? Or what were you telling your team?
So we take every game seriously. Obviously we want to win conference games. So if we do lose a non-conference game, it's not that big of a deal. But we win in both those non-conference games against Endicott and Brockport, ready to win. Endicott, it didn't go our way. We still were trying to figure out some things with the defense and as a team. Brockport, we kind of brought it together a little bit. It was honestly a battle of defense at that point. 2 pick sixes from Brockport's defense. We shut down Brockport's offense out. So, I mean, we didn't totally feel awful about it, but it definitely kind of gave us an edge to just try to run the table.
So our friend Matt Noonan told me to ask you about your defensive coordinator, Coach Landers, who I guess is a strong personality and a definitely someone that you guys look up to. But yeah, I mean, speaking of the defense, the last 2 weeks you guys have only allowed 1 touchdown. It's really after the shootout with UMass Dartmouth where you guys prevailed to put yourself in this position. The defense really seems to have turned a major corner. What's been going on with either what Coach Landers has been coaching you guys to do, or just the play itself? Because right now you guys pitched a shutout last weekend. The weekend before you only allowed a touchdown, and like you said in the Brockport game a few weeks ago, basically shut them out also. So what's going on with the defense up there in Framingham?
Yeah, we love Coach Landers. Last year he was coaching wide receivers, and then this year he stepped up to coach defense. He's just teaching us everything that we didn't know, telling us that we got to play together, stuff like that. Each week we get better. Each week we learn something new. I think that's where the shutouts are coming from. We're never stopping.
Well, there's a team that's coming up that's not keen on getting shut out by anybody, obviously, and they've been putting up some points against Westfield State. It was kind of an ugly number by the end of the game, at least. WestCon. Yeah. This is a team that I think has a little bit of a chip on its shoulder after some of the things that happened at the end of last season. They started hot and then kind of fizzled out toward the end, and some things happened, obviously, that kept them out of a postseason bowl berth, for instance, that we're not going to get into too deeply here. But this is a team that is well aware of who you are and well aware of what you just did to Plymouth State. How do you game plan for this team? And kind of, David James is a name that we've said for a little while. Those 3 sacks you had might be necessary again this weekend. How do you prepare for this game?
The way we prepare is don't take them lightly. We know they're a good team. They put up points on every team they play. Their defense is loud, rowdy. But I think when people play Framingham State, it's a different game. We bring some toughness. We bring some smarts. We bring a little bit of everything to that game. So I think it will definitely be a good game, and we just got to keep preparing for them. Honestly, just never take them lightly. Just stay one step ahead of them, basically.
Joshua, do you think the fact that you had an opportunity to already play against Mass Dartmouth, and I mean they're having a great season. Their quarterback Stephen Gachuk is having a great season, throwing for a lot of yards. You guys, you gave up some points to them, but at the end of the day, you made enough plays to win the game. And it might be the case, against David James and the Colonials this weekend. What can you draw from that experience from a couple weeks ago to apply to this weekend's matchup?
So during the game of UMass Dartmouth, we kind of exploded as a defense, arguing. It was loud. So I'm kind of trying to keep the team together for this week, not explode, not get too far off the game plan. But really, that game was tough. It was a little scary, but we pulled it through. The people that had to make those plays made those plays, and I'm just hoping that we can do it again.
Yeah, I mean, look, Gachuk and company, it's a surprise to a lot of people just how well they're doing this season, but they are consistent in that respect, and you guys did a great job in that game, no doubt, defensively. Let's talk about you. Last season, you look at the stats, and I think we only see 4 games played. I believe it was last year. And so you're technically a junior. Kind of explain what happened to you to folks that don't know your story and how you've recovered from the situation.
Yeah, so last year I got hurt during camp. I tore some cartilage in my right shoulder. It wasn't too bad. I went back to play, played some games. The 3rd game in, I broke my hand. So I made a personal decision. I talked to my family. I talked to my coaches to redshirt and take the year off to get healthy again, so I can help the team best I can.
How's the recovery at this point? How's your hand doing? How's the cartilage doing?
Oh, it's awesome. I feel great. I've been trying to stay on top of it, but I'm ready.
Let's see, Frank. 1, 2, 3 sacks. 1, 2. 3 tackles for loss. I think that hand is doing pretty good.
6 tackles. How's that?
It's holding up. It's holding up.
Yeah, Joshua, you're from Wareham, Mass, which is on Buzzards Bay. I mean, how did some of these schools like the Buccaneers not rope you into staying closer to home? Were there other? I imagine there were other schools you were looking at, prior to enrolling in college. But what ultimately, brought you to Framingham State, and you got one more year to go. But how's it been?
Yeah, to be honest, Framingham State was the only school that I applied to. Wow. I talked to Coach Kelly. It was the only coach I spoke to. I had a meeting with him, and at that point, I just wanted to play football. I wanted to go in a higher division and play with some better teams, but I love Framingham. It's taught me a lot, and I can't say much about it. That I'm here now, and I'm trying to make the best out of it.
This game is coming up is at home for you. I've noticed on the video cast that you have a very dedicated home crowd that can come to these games, and I have a funny feeling that there's going to be a larger than normal home crowd, knowing what's at stake in this game. In honor of the fact that you're playing at home, I got some Dunkin' Donuts instead of Starbucks today because I know that Dunkin' is Massachusetts version of coffee.
Massachusetts style. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. But tell us about the home crowd generally and the fans that Framingham State has grown accustomed to during what has been a really great run over the last few years, especially.
Yeah, the home crowd is nice. It brings everybody's families in. It's close enough. Again, the school's always there. We have the support from them. Yeah, and it's kind of like a family vibe. It's when we make a play, they know about it. They're loud about it. They know what we just did. So it definitely, I think, helps us as a team playing about it.
Okay, I'm going to bite the bullet for this one, JB, out of respect for you. So this is that point where, Josh, you're going to have a lot of friends and family, I have a funny feeling, from what you've talked about, to give shout-outs to. This is your shout-out time to any family, friends, teammates that might be listening. Now, I always say the player's name before I do this, so let's see if I can get it right the 18th time now. Joshua Onujiogu. That was
Close.
so
It
good.
was close. It was close.
It was close. Joshua Onujiogu. Here's your shout outs.
Onujiogu.
Onujiogu.
All right. Let me shout out my father, Obi Onujiogu. Let me shout out my mother, Mary McDonald. My siblings, Justin, Jazzy, Josiah, Jeremiah, Jess. Let me shout out my D line. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have them. I'll give a shout out to Coach Landers for teaching us everything that he's been trying to get us to excel at. Thomas Kelly, the head coach, best man. D-line coach, I guess, right? Coach Walsh,
Yeah.
Coach Blakey. Yeah, that's it.
I love it. That one of our larger lists, and we want to give a quick shout out. Kathy, your SID, has always been great with us, and so we want to thank her for setting up this interview and all the other work that she has done for us over time. Framingham State is a school that I think it was the first state school that we had, besides Brockport maybe, that we had a player guest from on our video version of the show. So you guys are near and dear to us from back when.
Yep.
And we
Kyle
appreciate
McKinnon from 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle McKinnon. Exactly. You got it. So we appreciate you guys, and good luck this weekend. We are friends with WestCon too, so we can't pick sides here, but we do want to see a great game.
Absolutely. I want you to.
There we go. Thanks again for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much. Have a good day.